Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I have that Poundland DIY video that I was talking about a few days ago. I was going to be putting it off till next week because I know I've done a few of these type of videos like recently. I don't want you to think that I'm a major Poundland addict or something, even though I do love it. But yeah, I've got 3 little DIYs for you today made from little things that I picked up from Poundland. 2 of the things that I picked up over the last week, and another thing I actually picked up quite a while ago now, I think. But yeah, so hopefully you can join in if you want to make some of these, and please do make sure to tag me on Instagram, as I love to see your versions of my DIYs. I don't know, there's something about it, I get so excited. So anyway, without further ado, I'm just gonna get straight on into the video and catch you back here so you don't have to listen to me ramble on anymore. So the first DIY is actually a upcycle of this sign. I found this in store a few weeks ago now. I'm sure you've seen it in one of my hauls, and I've been dying to give it a makeover. So I planned to actually remove the paper front, but it didn't work out very well. It didn't peel off very great, even though it was kind of loosely on there. So I actually just switched the sign over, removed all of like the kind of like plastic kind of barcode signs and everything like that, and then I just switched around the twine so that it was the right way round. Now I'm sure you will notice here that my fingers are pretty orange. It's not from like Cheeto dust or what's it dust or anything. I promise it was actually from some orange paint that I painted something orange right before filming this video, so you'll have to excuse that. Anyway, once I had switched over the twine so it was hanging in the right way, I then went ahead with some chalk paint and just started painting away. Honestly, I just painted and painted and painted, just with a variety of chalk paints. The chalk paints that I always use are the Rustoleum brand, just because I find the price point and the quality of them the best. The colour payoff is great for the price, and to be honest, they're the best kind of like chalk paints I found at a good value, as well as not compromising on the quality. So I used the Hessian coloured for the first pumpkin with some brown going through it. I then moved on with a duck egg kind of powder blue as the middle pumpkin, and then I painted on a dusky kind of muted orange. Once I had those pumpkins done with some shading on, I then went ahead and painted on a nice twirly curly stalk on the top pumpkin, and just added some more shading in and where I felt like it was necessary. So this wouldn't be a Chelsea kind of sign without some writing, so I just went ahead and wrote out the words "Hello Fall" on this piece. Now I did start out with a white Posca pen, but it didn't like writing on the chalk paint, so I had to go back in with some white acrylic paint and just a normal paintbrush and just go at it basically. I just freehanded it as much as I possibly could. For the fall, I actually used a pencil just to mark out where I wanted it to be, because I wanted it to be fairly central to the hello above it, and I just went over that with my white acrylic paint once again. So once I had done all that, it looked a little bit too kind of put together for me, and I wanted to kind of like shabby chic it, vintage it all up. So I actually just took a white coarse paintbrush with some white chalk paint. I dabbed it off onto a tissue paper and just kind of dry brushed it all over, just to give it a more worn, like vintagey look. Once that was done, this is how the sign turned out. I think it looks absolutely lovely, and the colours are incorporating all of the colours that I want for my autumn decor, the blues, the oranges, as well as the muted kind of beige of that Hessian colour. I'm really happy with how it turned out, honestly, I just love it. Anyway, moving on to the second DIY, I actually just used this tea towel, which I bought in Poundland this weekend. This is just a grey buffalo check tea towel. They had a load of black ones in there, but I managed to find a grey one, which was the one that I wanted. So I just went ahead and cut about a third of the tea towel off. I'm actually going to be using this part of the tea towel for another DIY, so I just set that aside. Once I had the strip of the tea towel, as you can see here, I just folded it in half and then cut that down the middle so that I had 2 pieces in the exact same size. I then folded these 2 pieces in half and then sewed along the long edge just with my sewing machine at a straight stitch. You can of course hand sew this or just use a bit of glue if you like. So what I then went ahead and did once it was sewn and everything like that, I just cut off the bulky kind of hems of the tea towel that I left on, just because I didn't before. I don't know why, I just didn't. I then took some needle and thread and looped that on one of the sides of the tea towels, and then I just kind of tacked all the way around so that I kind of had a little drawstring to pull the fabric in tighter. Once all the fabric was pulled tight, I just went ahead and secured that in place by just popping 2 little knots in my needle and thread. I did this to both of the pieces of fabric, but obviously I only showed one as I'm doing the exact same technique on both. I then went ahead and just turned them the right sides way around so that all of that like tense kind of bit was inside of the pumpkin. I then went ahead and just cut one of them down, and then I figured I actually liked that size better, so I did go back in and cut the other one down. And I just made sure to get about a good handful of stuffing and pop that inside. And like, as you'll see here, I did cut the other one down as well. I was going to do like one slightly bigger and one slightly smaller, but I didn't really like it like that. What I then went ahead and did was took a stick from my garden, which is a great tip, by the way, if you don't have any cinnamon sticks or anything like that to put as the center of your pumpkin. You just want to find a stick in the garden, sand it down nice and smooth, and then just make sure that the ends are smoothed down nicely as well. So using the same technique that I used at the bottom of the pumpkins, I'm just going around and tacking the top of the pumpkin in the same way and being able to pull that tight to make a drawstring-like effect again. However, this time at the top, I'm going to be tucking in that excess fabric just to make a nice, neat kind of seam. And then I'm going to be hot gluing the end of one of my sticks and then just sticking that inside of the polyfill just to make sure it's nice and set and secure. Once happy with that, I then pulled the string tight and secured it by just tying off a few knots. To make the segments in the pumpkin, I just basically tied a few knots in the bottom of the pumpkin again, poked the needle and thread through the entirety of the pumpkin coming out at the top and wrapping the thread around the whole base of the pumpkin, pulling it back through the pumpkin up to the top and then pulling tight. Hopefully that makes sense, but I'll just let you watch here so that you can kind of have a good idea of how I do this. I then went ahead and did this another 5 or 6 times until the pumpkin was completely made into segments, and then my 2 mini pumpkins were then complete. I think I'm going to be using these on a wreath, so stay tuned for that DIY coming up in the future. For the third and final DIY for today, I'm actually using this tea light holder which I bought in the sale after Halloween last year in Poundland. Now they have these tea light holders in pretty much every year, like at least for the last 3 years they've had them in, so I expect them to be in again this year. But basically what I went ahead and did was use this matte white spray paint, and I just spray painted the whole entire thing. Now I actually found this pumpkin in with all of my autumn decor after digging it out this weekend, and to be honest I was so happy because I was like, yes, I know what I'm gonna do with you, you're gonna get a little upcycle. So I just went ahead and put 4 layers of that white spray paint on in total, making sure to leave it dry for about half an hour in between each coat to make sure it was, you know, really nice and on there and set and everything like that. I then took an offcut piece of that tea towel fabric, you know, in the buffalo check, and I just popped some hot glue onto the stalk and just started wrapping it round. Now I did actually make sure to fray this fabric because I did want it to look a little bit more vintagey, a little bit more rustic farmhouse going on with a bit of, you know, rough to the edges type thing. I didn't want to look too put together as I thought the white looked very classy and just very nice, and it just needed something a little bit more rustic on it, you know. So I just hot glued lots of little bits to the top and then started wrapping that ribbon right around to really make sure it was all secured in. I made sure to apply lots of hot glue to make sure that all of the bits were, you know, fully in place, and then I just cut off any of the loose threads. So this is what the little pumpkin looks like. I think it's absolutely stunning, miles away from what it looked earlier, but I just think it's going to make a nice cute addition to our living room. So that is the end of all of the DIY tutorials. I hope you enjoyed them. I know I've been making a lot of fabric pumpkins recently, but trust me when I say I'm not going to stop here. I have so many different techniques and stuff to share with you. I feel like I need to share my pumpkin making knowledge, so there will be a pumpkin tutorial coming very soon. Again, that one, oh yeah, I'm really excited to do that. I might go film that in a second actually. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. let me know which one was your favourite, whether it was the little mini pumpkins, the sign, or obviously the sprayed pumpkin tea light holder. I absolutely loved how those little mini buffalo check pumpkins turned out, and the fact that you can get like 6 out of 1 tea towel is amazing. Obviously I've only done 2 as I'm going to be using the rest of the tea towel in an upcoming DIY, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Have like next week's DIYs all planned out, and I'm hoping to have another 3 DIY videos next week, which probably, you know, equates to more than 3 DIYs, because in this video I obviously did 3, but yeah, 3 more DIY videos coming next week. I'm just in DIY autumn fall decor heaven, to be honest. I'm DIYing the crap out of my whole home, so if you haven't like gotten on to that already, that is what we're doing. It's just gonna be madness. So yeah, hopefully you are enjoying these DIY videos and are looking forward to seeing what else I have in store over the next coming weeks. And yeah, I will see you very soon for another fabric pumpkin tutorial. Hopefully you love pumpkins as much as me. Otherwise, what you doing here, you know? If you don't love pumpkins, then we can't be friends. We can, but don't tell anyone. We'll just pretend you like pumpkins too. But yeah, hopefully you'll have a fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon for that one. Bye!